mainly with the sexual exploitation part of human trafficking. So today we're going to learn about branding, we're going to learn about CSEC, we're going to learn about what sex trafficking is, because I think there's a misconception and there's a lot of myth on sex trafficking, human trafficking, and human smuggling. So just so you guys know, human smuggling is not part of sex trafficking. Human trafficking is totally different, so we're going to get into that. We're going to get into some words. You guys are going to see things. I want you guys to ask as many questions as you guys want. I don't want you guys to feel that any question is dumb or, you know what, it's too, that's not even a question. No, I want you guys to tell me. If you guys don't know what a word means, you need to let me know so that I can let you guys know what it is. It's very important that you guys find out because you guys are going to go out, you guys may come in contact with people on the hotline or during an accompaniment. You guys need to know what human trafficking is. You need to know what sexual exploitation is. You need to know the signs, the dangers, and how the perpetrators are women. Okay? So human trafficking is the third largest crime in the world. The first one is drug trafficking, then it's human trafficking, sex trafficking, and then it's drugs, sex, and then it's gun trafficking. Now that alone tells you a lot because a lot of people tend to think that the guns and the drugs are higher than exploitation and sex trafficking, when it's not. And before we get to the next part, I'm going to share with you guys a little story on my personal experience and why I'm good at what I'm doing right now, and why I want you guys to ask questions. Because I am a victim of sex trafficking. I was trafficked at 10 years old. I was kicked out of my house by my mom, so I was actually on the streets at 10 years old. I was living in abandoned cars and abandoned houses until I met my future husband, which was running from his family because his father was actually a trafficker. His father had 57 young women along with me. So that's how I know the dynamics of it. I was put inside of a bar, a local bar that's not too far from here. I was working in the back, in the garage. I would go in during the day, get men drunk. We would wait for them to basically pass out, have as much sex as they wanted with me. My father-in-law was getting money like nobody's business from me, along with prostituting me at 10 years old. He was also taking their money, their gold and everything, coming back and saying that it was me. So not only was I at risk of being harmed because I was prostituting, I was also at risk of harm because these men thought that I was the one that was stealing from them. So I've been gang raped, I've been raped by my johns, I've been arrested for prostitution, I've had my children taken away. I think my first child I had was at 13 years old. My baby didn't last because when you work in sex trafficking and prostitution, you mess up your insides. So my insides, one, because I was started so early, my insides were not forming right. So it took me almost 11 years to have a child, which I thought I was never going to have. So these are the little things that I want you guys to understand. So if you guys have any questions, I want to make sure that you guys ask them, because you guys are going to run into people like me, and I can get deeper into my story, but I want to traumatize you guys. But I want you guys to understand that you guys, when you guys are doing the hotline, when I started doing the hotline, I didn't think I was going to get big calls. The first call I had was really simple. They were just looking for services, and that's all I did, till I got that first call, and it was for somebody that was being sex trafficked. When I got that call, I had already started working here. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call, and I didn't know who to go to. So I want you guys to understand that this is very serious, and for those of you that don't know, human trafficking is really, really on the rise right now, especially because we have all of these new laws that are coming into effect. A lot of people that are immigrants don't want to be in factories. They don't want to be working at any of the stores because they're afraid of the rates that are going on. So they're turning to prostitution, and they're becoming prey for the traffickers themselves. So they're going and telling them, we're going to report you and your whole family if you don't give us what we want. So that's where you guys got to be very careful. So we're gonna learn what sex trafficking and sexual exploitation are, labor trafficking and exploitation, and organ trafficking. We're not gonna really get into the organ trafficking. I'm just gonna give a quick rundown of what it is. So that this way you guys know more or less where that fits in. But before I forget, because I see you playing with your paper, there's a sign-in sheet around here somewhere. Okay, I have a sheet on the bottom. If you guys could just sign my sign-in sheet too. Except for Luis.
Yeah, please.
Hi.
So here are images that we have, but if you notice, they're all starting out very young. These are all young people. It is a proven fact that a person that has been sexually assaulted, sexually molested at a young age falls more prey to human trafficking than anybody else. And the reason why is because they've already had a secret. They've kept a secret from somebody. Somebody has harmed them. So they know the fear. They know the intimidation. So when somebody else comes in and says, this is what's gonna happen, this is what you're gonna do, they tend to think, I don't want this to ever happen to me again. So they fall prey. Out of all of these pictures, the most disturbing to me, and it's the least, is this one. That's that one. Because I, as a mother, used to play around and let my daughter play in high heels. I used to sit there and I used to tell my daughter, it's okay, and it's okay to put, let them play with high heels. But when you work in what I'm doing right now, this is not an option for my daughter. So human trafficking. Human trafficking is modern day slavery. It's force, fraud, and coercion. Some people tell me, what does force have to do with, what does fraud have to do with human trafficking? Because a lot of people, we're gonna learn when there's devastations in other countries, when we have like the tsunamis, we have the earthquakes and stuff like that, people go to other countries and prey on people. And it can happen here too. We have floods here, we just had all these floods. People's homes got destroyed. So people that think they're traffickers come in and give them false hope. Where's the fraud? We have somewhere where you guys can go. We have somewhere where you guys can be safe. We can take your children, your teenagers, and put them in school where we're at. You'll have access to them whenever. So that's where the fraud comes in. But it doesn't just happen in other countries. I see a lot of human trafficking happening here. Sex trafficking happening here. It happens here in the city. It happens a few blocks up. Human trafficking and prostitution is going on everywhere. It's next door to you. It can be in your neighbors. People that you may not even think would do things are doing them. I've seen pictures, and you guys are going to see later on. Before, I used to think that a pimp was this, big old guy, very handsome, nicely dressed. You're going to see, I have pictures in here. You're going to see that they look just like us every day. And any one of you here can be a trafficker. And I wouldn't even know. So I stopped looking for traffickers and just started looking for the signs. Because a lot of people are looking for a specific, oh, this is a pimp. This is what a sex trafficker looks like. No. We have sex traffickers that are as young as 17 years old because they're generational. Their fathers, their grandfathers, so forth, they've been doing it for so long, it became a family business. So they're going to take over their reign. So globally, the average cost of another person is only $90. I have shoes that cost more than that. A lot of places we can go to other countries, and I say other countries because I think it's a little bit higher here. We can go with $90 and buy another person. We can have them work for us. We can have them prostitute for us. We can have them do anything we want for $90. People that are totally into like the hip things and stuff like that, imagine one purse, how many people you can buy. People that wear Nikes and they're into their appearance, $90. Anyway. Because not only are you buying an individual, you're buying an individual's identity. You're creating somebody that you want to create. You're taking away from that person everything that once was held dear to them, and you're making it into what you want. So the next time you guys spend money, you guys go out and buy all those drinks, crazy drinking, crazy eating. Somewhere in the world, somebody's paying $90 for an individual. You guys okay? You guys have any questions?
Yeah, I heard a statistic that LA has one of the highest human trafficking rates.
So,
Los Angeles.
so that's very true. And like I said, we're finding it more because you have a lot of people that are coming out of DCFS. You have TASE, you have LGBTQ, you have people that are homeless. So then you have people turning to survival sex, and we're gonna get into it more. But yeah, that is true.
Also, the 5 freeway, literally trafficking 101. Like that is where like the majority of people are getting trafficked up and down. And so if you
Yes.
think about how the 5 runs through most of Los Angeles and
Mhm.
above, that is a key point to that as well. Also how dense, remember we talked about the population of Los Angeles on its own, just the city and county of Los Angeles on its own is so dense, it's very easy to lose people here.
So does anybody know where the quickest place to find a person and to get lost is here in LA? Skid Row. Skid Row. Because they have literally the tents that are down there. They have tents that are down there that people are known to be trafficked. Not too long ago, there was a 12-year-old little boy that we went out and had somebody go pick them up. This little boy was HIV positive, prostituting for the last 5 years. So that's like he was prostituting since he was like 6 or 7. And the person that was trafficking him wasn't his parents. They didn't even know who his parents were. He just kind of got lost in downtown. These people picked him up, put him in their tent, and started raising him. So we gotta be very careful with where our children are and what we do with them. So who falls prey to victimization? People of poverty, like I said. When we're homeless, we just want a place to stay. We just want somewhere to go to be warm. So we find people that, a lot of people find ways to sell themselves, and then they sell themselves to the wrong person, and then that person will hit them, maybe beat them, and tell them, you know what, you guys don't have an option. This ain't an option for you guys anymore. This is what you're gonna do for me. Runaways and children's and services. So this pertains to the DCFS system. We have a lot of people because we're really swamped in the system right now. We have a lot of people that are maxing out. Their parents, they can't get them on time because they're not doing their services, there's not enough services, they're not finding services. So we have a lot of people that are in programs that are maxing out. And these children, they think their parents don't love them. Maybe these children were molested, maybe these children were victims of domestic violence. These children have parents that were addicts. So they have issues on they already have issues, right? When you have children that are troubled or something like that. And then they find an older person that gives them all the love that they want. They give them everything they need, everything they want. They make them feel like they're worthy. They make them feel loved, just so that they can turn around and exploit them. So we're gonna also get into what exploitation is. This is just how they're getting these young people.
Yeah, and I want you to keep in that frame of mind, right, when you have a child who's in the system who's being constantly passed around through adults, right, adults in their lives, like whether it's social workers, foster parents, whatever it is, and then they finally find one constant person, even if it's an extremely abusive amount of attention that they're getting, like check-ins every morning, at least someone's checking in. Right? At least someone's paying attention to them, at least someone cares where they are. So it really skews your perception of your abuser, right? And that's why a lot of, I know Lisa's getting into it, but a lot of trust is a big problem with that, right? They don't trust adults in the system. The first person that they did end up trusting was somebody out of the system, usually a pimp. And that's why it's really hard to get these girls to come forward sometimes because they are literally saying like, well, this person, as bad as they are to me, has been the kindest at the same time.
So then you also have women that are in the system, young girls, who have been sexually assaulted by their stepdads. And they have trust issues, right? Like Claudia said, they have trust issues with their stepdads. They have trust issues with their uncles, with their brothers, whoever did this to them. So they already have that issue with the man. They don't know what it's like to have that closeness. Then you have somebody come in, because they're in the system, saying, you know what, it's okay, I understand what you're going through. I know where you're at, I've been there before. I can totally comprehend what you're going through. I'm gonna be there for you. Anything you need, I'm there. They need a ride to the market, they need a ride to the mall, whatever. These people are gonna pick them up on the drop of a dime. And they're gonna groom them. They're gonna make sure that these kids get everything they want. But the first chance they get, they're gonna tell them, I gave you this, 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 and this, and it's time for you to pay me back. Or they're gonna make them feel like if they lost everything, like the perpetrator lost everything. And you know what, I don't know how I'm gonna get back on my feet. But maybe, if you were to go, you can help me. I know this guy, he'll pay so much money to sleep with a woman. This young individual doesn't want her trafficker to get lost. So that's all she knows. I know because I was there. When my father-in-law was prostituting me, I did everything to keep him out of jail. I would pay his bail because he was taking care of me. I didn't have my mom and I didn't have my dad. And I think the first time he got arrested, I was 12 years old. I knew nothing. All I knew was that for a whole year, I was sleeping in an abandoned car and then an abandoned apartment. If I wanted food, I had to go to the taco truck. I didn't know what it was like to eat regular food anymore, home-cooked meals. I didn't know what it was like for my mom to clean and dust. And even though I was living in a bar, when he did take me in, I had that sense of family there. So I wanted that. So I would do what I had to do, make enough money, and then I would go bail him out. I would have somebody go bail him out. Because he had me in a state of mind where nobody else wanted me, and I wasn't worthy enough. So I needed him to be out to protect me and make sure that he always told me, without me, you go on the streets and you do this on your own, they're gonna beat you, they're gonna rape you, they're gonna kill you, and they're gonna take your money. So I felt that he was my protector. He made me feel like he was my guardian angel, and at the same time I was being with his son. So that's a little tricky. Victims of sexual assault and domestic violence, do you guys know why they fall prey? Yes.
I think sometimes it has to do with kind of want to take control over that. So when you feel as though someone's kind of taking advantage of you, you want to kind of have control over the situation. Because I know a lot of them fall into it because it's like, well, I'm making this decision, I'm deciding to do this, and you know, but it's a work perception because they've been assaulted.
Do you guys know why neglected individuals feel? Why perpetrators believe that a neglected person? And when I say neglected, I mean like you have a child, let's say there's a child at home that's 14, 15 years old, tending to himself. Mom's doing her thing, dad's doing his thing, or he's in jail. Why would that be an easy prey for somebody that's being neglected?
They're looking for love.
Yep.
To be loved.
When you look at all of this, it all comes down to the need for love, to the need for acceptance, and for the need to feel that they belong. In every one of these, homeless people, our mothers, sisters, and daughters, our disabled and mentally challenged individuals. We see a lot of individuals that are autistic or have Down syndrome fall prey because they're so trusting, because they don't know right from wrong, and people make them believe that what they're doing is right. Addicts, it's very, very easy for an addict to become prey, because an addict, all they want is their next fix, and they're going to do anything to get it. So if a person is sitting there and saying, I'll make sure you have everything you need, this is all you got to do, and I'll protect you, they're going to do it. Gang involvement. We're finding a lot right now that gang involvement has a big, big part of the human trafficking world. Because you can sell a drug once, but you can sell a female over and over and over. So they're making more money in trafficking than they are in selling drugs now. It's very, very, very common in the LA area right now. All neighborhoods are in on it. We have women that are going from one neighborhood to another. So when I say that, let's say one gang here has had this girl for 6 months, and they say, you know, we can't sell her no more. They'll trade her with another gang for somebody that's been used over there to come over here so that they swap. Because it all comes down to the money. So we already talked about the victims. Your refugees and displaced persons due to war, natural disasters, etc. Like I said, when we have natural disasters, people go over to other countries and they'll try to pull them to come back, and you know, they'll make false promises, right? But it also happens here. It happens here all the time. Everybody is at risk of being a victim of sex trafficking. However, we find it very, very, we find more in demand for women and children. We have people that don't speak English. If you don't speak English here in Los Angeles, you fall very, very high at prey because you don't understand what people are saying, nor do you understand what's going on. So I'm not just talking about people that are speaking Spanish. I'm talking about people that are Korean, you know, they're Chinese. They have a different language barrier. How many times have you guys went in and you see a Chinese woman or a Chinese man, they're trying to explain to you something and you don't get it. So it's very easy. And then when they do get somebody that can interpret for them, they're being told that they're not from here. They're going to be reported. Well, what are you going to do? You can't go back. Well, we know where your family's at. Now, people from here may understand it doesn't work like that. We have police, we have people that can help us. These people don't know anything. All they know is that they come from a corrupt country, and they're afraid of going back. You guys have any questions? I see everybody shaking their head, but nobody's saying anything. You guys are getting nervous. Okay, so this is a part that's kind of a little tricky. There's a Sudanese phrase, it's use a slave to catch a slave. So what traffickers do is traffickers train girls. They groom them. And then they create what's called a bottom bitch. Some people are called wives. There's different wording from them. There's the bottom bitch, the broke-in girls or broken hoes, and queen of the stable. I couldn't remember that one. So what that is they're groomed to the point where they go out to, let's say it's a teenager. You guys are learning about schools. It's a teenager. You have girls that are in the schools right now that have been trained to pull in other girls. So they're in our schools and they're teaching our children, you know what, let's go kick back. We're gonna go get high, we're gonna go drink, we're gonna do all these things. You guys gotta meet my friend. He's so super cool. He'll rent us a motel room. We're gonna go to the best places. And they start glamorizing that life. Like, oh, it's nothing. A lot of cases that we find, the girls end up in a motel room, drugged. You guys learned on GHB, so you guys know the date rape drug. They take these drugs, these girls are being raped. But because these girls weren't supposed to be where they were supposed to be, they get told, if you say anything about what happened here in this situation, what do you think mommy and daddy's gonna say? Their pretty little princess was found here. And FYI, we have pictures on our phones to show your parents of what you were doing and how naughty you really were. So these girls get intimidated, these girls get scared, they don't want to lose their family, but yet they're dealing with this shame. They've been raped, they've been intimidated, they've been told that their whole world just got flipped upside down. At the same time, a lot of these traffickers, they send these pictures to other individuals in the school to intimidate these girls and let them know, we know what you did. And if you say anything, you do anything, then these pictures are going to your family. So then that's when we go back to the force, fraud, and coercion, because that's where the whole cycle starts all over again. It always comes back to those three. this is just some of the things that people go through. I've seen a lot worse. I've gone to safe houses, I've gone to different places, and I've actually talked with the women, and this right here doesn't even say enough of what they do to these women. They get starved, they get strangulated, brutally raped, brutally raped. They get stabbed, they get shot, they get caged. Women that are prostituting are always getting beat. They're at risk of getting beat for simple things. If you have a trafficker, that has you prostituting, or you have a pimp over you, what happens to these girls is that there are certain things they can't do. A girl that is prostituting in the prostitution world cannot look at another pimp in the eyes because it's a sign of disrespect. A girl that is being sold sexually cannot have her head up. She has to have her head down as a sign of submission to anybody. You are to make everybody else feel that they're superior to you, and you are nothing. You're the lowest of the low. You are here to serve them. You are here for their every desire. So when you see girls that are walking around on the strips, you never see them looking at a person face to face. Even if you were to look at the videos, you see the girls leaning over in the car, they're never looking at the individual in their eyes. They're looking down. Because if they're caught, they get beat. I've known girls that have told me they've been strangled with their own hair. Their pimps have taken their hair, wrapped it around their head, and they've actually choked them with their own hair. I know women that have told me that they will not put tracks in their hair because from the pulling, the constant pulling of their hair starts ripping out and they have scars in their head. Because a pimp is not going to hit you anywhere where it's visible. Because they need that part to be for show. So on top of all these things going on with them, emotionally, mentally, these girls are losing it. These girls don't know if they're coming and going half the time because they're on drugs. A lot of them have learned to disassociate themselves and just to take themselves out of the situation. These women are being raped over and over and over. These are all of your traffickers. These are just a few. And they look like everybody that we see down the street. These ones were the ones that were just found that had that baby in San Diego inside of a duffel bag. They were trafficking the baby's mom, and they killed the baby because the mom wasn't doing what they wanted. And they're still going to court. And these people lived not too far from us. These people lived in the city of Whittier. So when you guys see these people, don't automatically assume they're from South Central, because they're not. These people were on next to our other site. You guys know where the wellness center is? This whole clan came out from there, up there. And they walk around every day next to us.
What about that white lady?
What about the white girl? She looks like she should be going to school with like pigtails in her hair.
She forced 16 girls, minors.
Was she like a bottom bitch or something?
No,
No, she was just.
she was like your modern day Heidi Fleiss. You guys know who Heidi Fleiss is?
Yes.
She was a madam,
Mm-hmm.
so she was this big shot madam. They start out like escorts, but then they go into the whole sex work type
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But she preyed on young girls because she would buy them. She was buying them Louis Vuitton. She was buying them that other one. Anything they wanted. Basically anything they wanted. They were going on $1,000 shopping sprees because she had it like that. Because that's how many girls she had. So she would take you, she would buy you. But guess what? her story was, I think after the 4th day, you're gonna do what I want you to do. And as innocent as she looks, because I think a lot of us look like, okay, she's so innocent, how could she be? No, she can't intimidate anybody. That girl was crazy. She used to do some major torturing to these girls. But this is your reality. This is what our community is working with. These are people that you guys could have been walking with. People you guys could have been talking with. You guys working, you guys could have been working with one of these people. And you guys wouldn't even know. When people see me here, they don't know my story. They don't know half the things that I've been through. I keep hearing to write a book, so you guys beware. You guys can say, I heard her before. But people didn't know what I went through until it was brought to their attention. Oh no, this is why she does this. She's been through this. She knows. You know, we do a lot sometimes in our life. We just got to learn how to use it to our advantage. I chose not to go out and be an addict or become a trafficker. I chose to use my pain and use my hurt and use my torture to help other women. I choose today to sit here and teach others. Whereas I know a lot of other girls that were working with me are doing the opposite right now. Because I see them on the streets and I know what they're doing. Risks and losses. We talked about this, the malnutrition, lack of medical attention. A lot of times these women aren't getting medical attention. They're having sex with people left and right. No condoms. For the LGBTQ community and for men that are having sex with other men, without a condom, you get paid $100 more. Johns will pay $100 more to not use a condom, which is putting the people that are being trafficked at a very high risk. Along with the John, because you figure, how many times is this John having sex? They don't have the time to get up and go take a shower after they have sex with somebody. They have enough time to put on their clothes, go stand outside again, get the next person. All that bacteria. It sounds ugly to us. And we can sit here and say, oh God. But guess what? That's their reality. That's what they have to go through. You have a question?
Me?
Okay. So, trauma, the trauma that we go through, the trauma that I went through, I was diagnosed with bipolar when I came out. Not no more. Thank God. They told me, once I got out of my situation, I cleaned up. I've been clean for 22 plus years. So like 22 and 8 months or 22 and 9 months. They told me I was bipolar. They told me I was a manic depressive. They told me that I had a dissociate disorder. I was able to take myself out, just completely zone everybody out. But what they didn't realize was they were diagnosing me and they were telling me, here's a pill for this, here's a pill for that, you could do this, you could do that, but they weren't getting to the root of the problem. How was I not supposed to disassociate things that were going on with me when people were putting their bloody fingers all over me? How was I not to be bipolar, 1 minute okay, the next minute crying, 1 minute angry, the next minute I was as sweet as a dove? I didn't know how to feel because I've always been told how to feel. Your John tells you you're going to be very aggressive with me, or you're just going to lay there and let me do what I want to. So how was I supposed to know? I didn't even know how to feel anymore. So these are things that we need to take into consideration when we're doing all this. The community. When I first came out, people looked at me, they were telling me, you're a whore, you're a bitch, you don't know nothing about what you're saying, how can you have accused somebody of trafficking you? Because people didn't know what I was going through. Automatically, when people see a prostitute, they believe that she wants to be having sex. She's doing it for a reason. She's not doing it because she wants to. So society basically kept me down for a long time. Until one day somebody told me, the way I go out, they told me, let me try to help you. But you need to want it, Lisa. We can't do it for you. We can give you a motel right now, we can give you clothes, we can give you a whole new life. But until you want it, you're not going to be able to go through with it. So I had to learn. And I had to remember that society does not label me. I label myself. I had to remember that when I go out, because I also do a street outreach, when I go out, I have to remember, if those girls are out there half naked, shaking their butt, whatever they're doing it for the attention, but they're doing it for the wrong attention. They're doing it because they have to get that number in. They have to get that John in because they have a quota at the end of the day. They're not doing it because they want to. They're not doing their hair. You know how many girls have sat there and told me, I just wish for one day I didn't have to put my makeup on and I didn't have to do my hair. I don't know what it feels like just to wear sweats and a t-shirt because they can't do that. They have to be showing their body because they're literally a walking billboard. So the next time we see girls, don't judge them. And a lot of females do that. Why? Because we were taught. Oh, look at that girl, how her hair is. Oh, look at what she's wearing. Oh no, that girl has a big butt. Her butt's too big to be wearing those. I used to be told, oh, you don't look good in white pants. Guess what? Yesterday for Easter, I wore a pair of white pants. And I did it on purpose. And I was shaking my butt. Why? Because ain't nobody gonna tell me I can't do something when I can. It's my decision. So when you guys see women and that are going through something, whether it be sexual assault, domestic violence, human trafficking, sexual exploitation, whatever, remind them that they have the power. It's not what we want them to have. It's not what people expect us to have. It's what they want. Because at the end, we can give people all the services we want. We can give them from A to Z. They may not take it. Because nobody actually asked that person, what do you want? You tell me. I don't want to be the one to tell you. How many of you guys have seen people with these barcodes on them? Let me tell you. For a while, I don't know if you guys remember, about a year ago, everybody was getting barcodes. Everybody was getting barcodes. It was a thing. It was a tattoo of the season. Pimps and traffickers started this out. And once again, the ones that are in gangs started making their homeboys get them. Society started making other people get them. So it became common to see this barcode. What this barcode means is you are no longer a person, but you're a product. You no longer have a voice, you have a number. Women were getting, pimps make women, it's usually only pimps, whore life. Down there on their hairline for a female, next to their vagina, they get ATM. Because you're supposed to slide hard. Girls get on the back by their crack. What was it, the word?
Tramp stamp?
No, that's different, that's higher. We're talking about like right where your butt's at. Oh, for players only.
Oh my.
The crown, because you have a king. And you reign only to the king. You bow down only to your king and nobody else. Everybody else is a peasant. Look at this little girl. Look at how little she looks. She's a product, not a human. So CSEC. This is what Claudia was talking about, commercially sexually exploited children. Now, here's the thing about CSEC. CSEC, our children are more vulnerable. They're easier prey. Very easy. We have people that are street victims. So those are the ones that are out there that are running the streets because their parents are going through something. They've been in abusive relationships. And you know, the child is not wanted. Something like what happened to me. Internet victims. So we have children that are on Facebook. We have children that are on Instagram. I am yet to see an 11-year-old that does not have a phone, a tablet, or a computer. Now, we tend to think, okay, so how can any of that have anything to do with it? As long as they're not on Backpage, Virtual Street, Craigslist. Guess what? These victims are being found on Instagram, Snapchat, they're being found on Facebook, and it's very easy for these traffickers and perpetrators to get them. Because if I take a selfie right now, and I'm standing by this picture, and I take the picture, this background comes out. And then tomorrow I come and I take a picture over here, but I took a selfie this way and that picture's still in the back. Now they know that I've been here for consecutive days, right? So they're gonna see the pattern. They're gonna know where to find me. Kids are taking pictures in the parks, at their schools, with the sign in the back of the school that they're at. These traffickers, perpetrators, they start conversations with them. So they go on their page, their internet pages. You know what my mom don't understand? She doesn't listen to me. Sometimes I just want to run away. I'm sick of not being able to go and eat McDonald's like all my other friends are. Why do I have to put up with this? And if you really look at some of the stuff that's on Facebook, yeah, because a lot of people put their very personal information, what they're going through, their status and everything. So the perpetrator, the trafficker, is going to go on their Facebook, find out what they need, accidentally bump into the child. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that book. I don't know, Harry Potter. I read that book like 4 times. Yeah. You know where I bought that book at? I bought it at the Barnes & Nobles out in Glendale. Oh yeah, I bought it there too. There strikes up the conversation. Oh really? Do you play those street, those games? Those, what do you call those? Oh my God, my mind is just blank right now. You know those games where you can share your information and you get on the teams? On the internet? Oh my God, the PlayStation games?
Like role-playing games, right?
Okay, so they meet on there. Oh, you could join my team. But the whole time, all that's doing is they're forming a trust. They're gaining information. So the next time they run into this child, hey, let's play some McDonald's. When's the last time you ate McDonald's? Let's just go because you helped me out. But that child never returns home. Because while that child is getting in the car, he self-willingly got in the car. Mom don't know where he's at, Dad don't know. Half the time, they don't even know he's missing. By the time that they find out, they're cross country. Whose fault is it? It's the communities, not just the parents. Because how did we not notice that this little boy was so vulnerable and he needed these things? You guys have any questions about it? You guys bored yet? So these are all the different sites that I put here where they're getting information. My biggest wow was the Pinterest. Because if you're a mommy, like me, so that you guys know, just FYI, I have 10 children now.
Wow.
Yeah, I went from not being able to have children to having 10 children. So, mommies love Pinterest. You know why? Crafts, little snacks, food, cooking. So when I seen this, I couldn't believe Pinterest. My heart was broken. I was like, no! until I started looking up some stuff. You guys can go actually on Pinterest and you guys can look up human trafficking, and they have pictures and stories and stuff like that. You wouldn't believe how many stories they have. Look up human trafficking and you're gonna find stories about people. There's this one lady, Maria, I forgot her name. I just happened to find it on YouTube. The story was so crazy. She was out in, where was she? I forgot where she was at. She trafficked 12 women and she had them in a small shack. 12 women were laying over each other and she was sexually prostituting them. This lady did such damage to these women that their teeth had fell out. They had lice in their hair. They were infested with lice. They had sores all over their skin, and she was still able to sell these women. She was like one of the most horrendous traffickers. And she had 4 other sites. I think there was one in Texas, Arizona, Mexico, and there was one more. It was crazy. It was crazy. And I found that story on YouTube, and then I looked it up on Pinterest, and I found it on Pinterest too. But you see, that goes to show you, you can find information about anything, anywhere, on any of these. Try looking up information on Facebook. You're gonna find all kinds of stories, all kinds of places for awareness. I mean, it's just amazing how the whole internet system works. Because if you really wanted to, you can even find children. You just keep searching and you'll find on the internet where to buy children and have sex with them.
This says every 26 seconds a child is sold into slavery.
Yes.
Wow.
So imagine. Right now, one just got sold from the time that you told me.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So imagine, you guys are here for how long? 2 hours? Imagine how many children are being sold. And it sounds like a movie. It really sounds like a movie. Like, this isn't gonna happen here. This is not gonna happen in my community. But the internet is the strongest form of recruitment. The strongest. People think it's out in the streets. It's not in the streets. It's on the internet.
Do you know if there's like code words people use? Because I'm sure you can have all that.
Yes. So I actually was speaking to one of your,
Jamie.
Jamie, and I was telling him there's this site that's called the Darknet. Okay, on the Darknet. It was meant for government purposes only. However, people got involved with it and there's code wording. If you were to go on the Darknet, if you find a way to get on the Darknet, you can go in there and tell them that you want to have sex with a 3-year-old child. Give it about 10 seconds and you're going to have lists with pictures of all the 3-year-old childs that are available. If you want to have sex with a little boy that's just like a little girl, but wearing an animal suit, that's what you put on there, and you're gonna get hits. People are gonna be calling you, they're gonna be searching for you and telling you, I'll give them to you for so much money. Meet me here.
How is that like a Google kind of?
Darknet?
website, or-
So Darknet right now is used in the colleges because, you know, they can't share information. So it was formed in the government. It was part of the military, but because they stopped it, they were like, oh, we found this whole new system. The universities picked it up because they were able to share information on the internet for classes, for whatever information they needed. So what it does is it redirects. So your IP number does not get found. So it's totally underground, totally underground. And I was telling Jamie, there's actually a webinar that's out. I don't remember, I told him I'm gonna find it. I'll find it and I'll let you guys know. But it actually talks, it's an hour webinar that talks about how it redirects, how it goes from one place to somewhere else, and how people that are on that cannot get found. So they're trying to shut it down, but they're having a very hard time doing it. Once again, because it's a Privacy Act. They're not looking at the fact that they're showing little tiny children half naked. They're looking at the fact that this person has the right to do whatever they want on the internet. And it's not the dark net's fault, because they're not liable for what's put on.
Wow.
They just started up a new law, I think in March, where now all internet sites are responsible for what's put on. So if I go put a picture of Christine naked on the internet, not only am I gonna get in trouble, but the app is. So they're gonna hold them liable. They're gonna know they need to start screening more often. So that was one. This we already talked about. So learning more about child exploitation is really, really important, because you guys are gonna see a lot of kids that are out there. Do you guys live in LA? Do you guys live around here? So if you were to go down Olympic, you know the back of the food for less? You're gonna find a lot of very young children that are out there that are homeless. And I can tell you right now, I work with two of them, and those trailers that are back there are used by the traffickers. So they put the young teenagers inside those little trailers, and they make them have sex. So there's like lines on the weekends to have sex with them. And that's here in our community.
So what can you do, like when you see that, like especially you know the signs and you know where they are, like who do you call, how do you?
So, okay, so we're gonna get into that, we are gonna get into that, because that's part of what I want you guys to know, because you guys are gonna be on the hotline. We're gonna get into all of that, because you guys are gonna start, once you guys get a little bit of information, you guys are gonna be able to run with it. So, you guys will be taking the hotline. Some of you guys already work in agencies and stuff like that. You're gonna open your eyes. Doing these trainings, you open your eyes to different things that you didn't see before. It exposes things, it magnifies them. So, we're gonna see all these little things. You're gonna start noticing, okay, wait, my daughter, let me check her Facebook. Oh yeah, look, Lisa said you can see in the back where it's at. Or you know what, my daughter did post 4 times in a row that she was here. So if somebody really wanted her, they can come find her. You know what I mean? So those are things that we're getting to, because we're getting closer. But I want to get through this. Labor trafficking. So when you guys think of labor trafficking, what do you guys think of? Because this is a whole different thing than sex trafficking.
Working in the fields.
Working in the field. Homes.
Yeah, cleaning homes.
Anything else?
Especially the wealthy, cleaning the homes.
Nail salon?
Nail salons, yeah. So, here's one. How many of us go to the callejones downtown?
In the what?
The callejones, the alleys?
Sanity Alley.
Oh, yeah.
A majority of that merchandise trafficking victims, downtown alley in the buildings. That's why they're knockoff. That's why you go down there and you get them really cheap. Because for each purse that they sell is for $20, the person that's making it is lucky if they get a quarter. Because these are people that, once again, don't speak English. They have no documentation. They've been forced to work there. They've been brought over, didn't know what they were getting themselves into, and now have to work and make money, and that's the only way that they can do it. We got people in massage parlors doing our nails. I'm guilty. Doing our toes. We got people that are out there that are selling oranges. A lot of times those people that are on the corner that are selling fruit, they're doing it for a reason, because they need to make a quota, because were brought over here and told this is how much money you gotta make a day. Not given the option to go out and get a regular job. Those people that we see at Home Depot that are standing out there, that are working for pennies, they're taken there and they're told, you better come back with this amount of money. And if you say anything, then guess what? We're calling immigration because you shouldn't even be here to begin with. Once again, the language barrier, because they don't understand. How many men have you heard, or women, or neighbors, when you say immigration, they get paranoid? They don't, their conception of it is all crazy, and I'm not saying nothing bad against immigration, because you know what? There are ways to go about doing things the right way, being legal here, right? However, the time frame is ridiculous, because you can only be here a certain amount of time, and you have to have your visa. You have to have your cards, but they don't give you that much time. So for me, I mean, I see this a lot. I see this a lot towards downtown, towards West LA, MacArthur Park, Echo Park. I see a lot of this. People working for pennies. People trying to do their hustle and getting jobs. Living in places, living in, you know, like you said, the richer areas, in the homes, but they're working 24/7. They don't get no breaks, and they don't get no time off. They gotta do what they gotta do for those children. People are raising other people's children and getting paid for it, but they're not having breaks. They're not getting the amount that they're supposed to be getting. These are people that are busting their butts. These are our mothers. These are our grandmas. These are our uncles. And nobody knows what to do when they're in this situation. Who do you call? If I sat here and told you, okay, there's a victim here, and you know, they're being labor trafficked, we gotta get on this. We gotta get them help, because we have them right here, we gotta get them. Who are you guys gonna go to? Where are you gonna find the services? Can any of you tell me right now? No?
East Los Angeles Women's Center.
I can refer you. But this is what we're here to do. These people that don't know, we're here to give them the information. So in this kind of situation, we have numbers. You guys are gonna get numbers when you guys get once you guys get your certification and everything, you guys are gonna get numbers. These are numbers that I gave Claudia because I made a connection with these people. You're gonna know where to send these people. Who do we call? Because they don't want the police officers, law enforcement involved, because they're afraid that immigration is gonna come. So who do we call? There are people. There are people that we call to help them. They take them to work. A lot of them qualify for a U visa. And they also qualify for a T visa, which is a trafficking visa. So it's similar to a U visa. The thing is, you don't have to have a documentation stating that you've been trafficked, but they need something. It could be like, let's say that I get a victim here, and they're like, you know what, Lisa, we need case management. I've been working with this person for about 3-4 months, and they decide, you know what, I want to go get a T visa. I'm going to contact a lawyer to help me get this. Because she was already registered with me, she came to me and disclosed to me. That documentation that I have is a legal documentation that she has self-disclosed that she's been trafficked, so that we can help her to get a T visa. These are more things. Once again, like you said, hotels, cooking. We find a lot of this more with the Asian population. The Chinese food places, you go downtown, you have those big open spaces where they're making all this food. You find a lot of people in the back that are making it. We do see this a lot. Now hiring must be Mexican.
What? I've never seen that.
I see a lot downtown.
Wow.
A lot downtown. You know why?
Why?
Because it's basically telling you don't have to have your papers. So, or you don't have to have a social. Because there are also people that are from here that don't want to use their social because they're running from the law. They're running from probation, from parole. They may be AWOL from DCFS. So if we can get, if we see something like this, okay, they're paying under table. But then once again, they also get exploited. So we gotta be careful with that too. Like I told you guys, the day labor hiring, Home Depot, where else have I seen it? Downtown, the Dodger Stadium, there's people that get there every now and then, they're at the Dodger Stadium outside asking people if they need any work. Because they're put there, not because they wanna be, because they're put there. If you really ever talk to these people and ask them, oh, so where do you live? A majority of people that are in traffic don't know their address. They do not answer questions, and if they answer questions, they're all rehearsed. So if I go ask Christine, and she tells me something, but then here comes Maricruz to ask Christine, and she says the same exact thing that she told me, red flag. Something was taught. These are other things that, child labor, because just like with C-Sec, there's child labor, that children are put to do, mixing of pesticides, glass factory, the hotel, the textile factory work, street work, like I told you, they stand in the corners and they sell the roses and all that stuff, and other stuff. This is just your basic, real quick, what they do, because a lot of times, once again, these little girls just came over from the border. They need to eat too. And mama, she needs help. So they put the children out there with them too. Illegal sales of babies. So how many times have you heard people saying, I'm gonna go to another country and adopt? Where do you think those babies come from?
Poor women who have no choice.
A lot of times, these women the children are taken. They're not asked. Or they're under false pretense that these children are gonna go like into a home and be fed and clothed, and they can come back and get them. And then these children are adopted out to American citizens. So if a normal child costs $90, is this cheaper?
No, so expensive.
You know how much it is? Normal person is $90.
Oh gosh,
Probably more than that. Think about like surrogacy fees, it's gotta be something less than that.
There's no surrogacy fee.
I'm saying, but in terms of like the cost, I think it has to be less than that, but still significantly higher.
$140.
That's it?
$140.
for a baby?
You can buy a
And it
baby
takes
for
24
$140.
hours. It takes 24 hours.
Is that like right now, like, that's 24 hours I could get a baby for $140?
Yikes.
All you have to do is take a copy of your ID and your passport. You go, you sign the papers. You wait 24 hours. Majority of the time, they're giving you fake birth certificates, because that's why you gotta wait the 24 hours. They've done documentaries, they've done research where that birth certificate that they get in their country, they come back with the same name about 100 times.
Oh, wow.
Because if they're ever looking for this child that's been taken from the mama, they can't find it.
Because there's so many names.
They don't know who's who.
Yeah.
And remember, other countries are not like here. Here we have fingerprints, we have DNA, we have all of that. We have a system. Other countries don't have that. So how are they gonna say this person belongs to this person?
So they make it seem like it's a legal adopting
Mhm.
process?
And you said they changed the birth certificate because people prefer to adopt infants or like newborns versus older.
So we have a lot of people that are looking for newborns, but you also have people that are trying to adopt older children because they want to bring them back
Use-
and they want to use them for, let's say, businesses, for house cleaning. Once again, it's labor trafficking. But this time you own the person. Like there's no way of them getting out of it. You have their paperwork. You officially own them. So, yeah. This is coming back to the trauma that we get once we're trafficked. We get a lot of, I do street outreach, so here's the thing. I get street outreach and I work with a lot of women that are sex workers. These women come to me and they tell me, you know how much advice we got? You know how many people come and tell me that they want to support me? You know how many people have came here and told me that they can help me get off the streets? They're here for maybe 3-4 times and then they disappear on me. So they have no trust. Once again, because we do that, the community does that. They go back to their pimp because their pimp's a guarantee. They know they're gonna see them. They know they're gonna be there. They may hit them, but they know they're gonna be there. And that right there is what we're trying to break. We're trying to let our women know, whether it be trafficked, sex work, sexually exploited, we want them to know that we see them. And we're not here today and we're gone tomorrow. I really, really love doing what I do because without that bond that I'm building with them, without that trust, my work means nothing. I've gone on street outreaches where I've been working with women for 8 months. I never even knew their name. I knew their nickname, but I didn't know their name. Why didn't I know their name? Because they didn't trust me. You're gonna call cops. You're gonna call services on me. I have a baby. My pimp or my trafficker has my child. Their mother's watching my baby, and that's the threat. They're gonna do something to my child. If I want my child, I gotta make sure that I do what they want me to do. So it's very important that we actually see people, not just hear them. Don't just hear what they have to say. See them, acknowledge them. Let them know that there's things out there for them. They don't have to do what they're doing. So the impact of human trafficking, we said about the health, inadequate nutrition, poor personal hygiene, brutal emotional and physical attacks, we spoke on that. Many suffer from an area of physical and psychological health issues. Sexually transmitted diseases, psychological trauma, malnutrition, bruises, scars, and other signs of abuse and affections. A lot of these people, they get burns, scrapes, being strangled with ropes and being whipped, and there's nothing that they put on their wounds. So what happens to those wounds? You're in misty places, it's dirty, there's nothing but dirt, maybe they're sleeping on the floor. These are things that we need to remember. So when they walk in the agency, when they walk in from wherever they're at, we need to remember that looking at them, whether they're dirty, they're clean, it's looking at them, not looking at their appearance. I've seen, like I told you, that 10-year-old little boy, 11-year-old little boy. That little boy was filthy. When he got search and rescue, I seen him again. I didn't even recognize him. He was a güerito, blonde hair. I didn't even know his hair was blonde. I didn't even know that he had colored eyes because he had such dark circles under his eyes. For the first time he had rescue in a long time. But because we actually took the time to pay attention and question why this 10-year-old was on the streets, why he was walking around with condoms in his pocket, and that's how I noticed because the condom fell out of his pocket. It brought up like, okay. And then another person knew what I was doing and they were like, you need to get him out of this situation. You need to call. So I work with a bunch of people. So my protocol here is we don't do search and rescue, but we have other providers that do. We contact them, we let them know the situation, we let them know the phone number, the address, and then they take it from there. They keep us in the loop to let us know, okay, this is what we're going, these are the steps that we're taking, you're with the person all the time. For me, I've done another search and rescue with another woman. She went and reported that she was being trafficked. She had been taken from another state. She couldn't do it no more. She felt very threatened. We had an officer decoy, so it looked like he was a John. He picked her up and he never took her back. She called me a few days later to let me know she was going out of state. She thanked me. She was like, Lisa, if it wasn't for somebody like you, and I'm not saying this is me, because it was somebody like me that took the time to pay attention and say, okay, how are we gonna help this person? I didn't look at her like she was just a sex worker. I didn't look at her like she was just a prostitute. I didn't look at her like she was a victim. I looked at her like she was me. What would I want somebody to do for me? This is what we discussed. I told her, do you want to get out of this situation? Yes. Okay, then let's make the call. But if she doesn't want to, there's no way, because she can go back. Now she goes, let's say she makes a call because I'm telling her to. I tell her, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna call this number and you're gonna live a different life. Things are gonna get better for you. She makes that call. But she's sitting there, she starts getting nervous. You know what? I didn't make my quota tonight. And I really don't feel comfortable doing this. I gotta get back out there. And she leaves. But the trafficker already knows that she made a call. When she goes back, do you think she's gonna make it alive?
Ooh.
They're gonna kill her. So now who failed her? I should have sat back and asked her, is this what you really want? Do you understand that you can't go back because this can happen? Do you understand that we'll give you the safety? We'll find you the safety. We need to make sure that these people are ready to leave on the spot. But then again, it may not be that they want to leave on the spot. You know what? He has my child, and I need to know that my child's going to be okay. Okay, so let's put a safety plan. So then that's where I come in. Every time I go out, every time the agency has me out, I do a safety plan, I do a follow-up, I do a check-in with these girls, I make sure that they have condoms to protect themselves, I make sure that they have my card, I make sure that they have a hotline number, and I make sure they have the National Human Trafficking Hotline number itself. Why? Because I need to make sure that if they're in a difficult situation, they're in a motel room and they're having sex with another individual, that they have a safety plan if it gets too rough. No, you guys need to know where the exits are. What's around you? Is there something you can grab to get him off of you? Is there somewhere you can run to lock the door? Is there a phone somewhere? So these are all the things that my part of the safety plan come in. I make sure they have condoms, because we want to make sure that these girls are protected. Because chances are, if they're living in East LA, they're sleeping with somebody's husband. They're sleeping with somebody's brother. They're sleeping with somebody's son. Not only am I protecting her by giving them condoms, I'm protecting the other members of the community also. You guys have any questions? No?
Have some of those resources started to also be like birth control and other contraceptives?
Yes, yes. So when we do our outreach, I always take resources. My recruiter is going to be going with me soon, so she's going to see. We have a little book that we take that just has the closest HIV testing sites, all of the pregnancy places, to get free testing, to check for any STIs. We have places, they're closest rape agencies, so that if they were to disclose to us in that moment, we have something to pull out. Because they're not going to wait for us to come back and give it to them. So we want to make sure we have something with us. I carry a lot of flyers with me. A lot of people laugh at my purse because it's like a duffel bag. But it has flyers for different things, different places. If I'm going to West LA, I take flyers of agencies that are in West LA that they can go to. If I'm going to East LA, I know all this area, so I'll refer them around here. I do let them know that everything is confidential. So sometimes they don't even, like I told you, they don't even give me their name. I tell them, you guys don't need to come in and give me your name. You guys can come in and get tested here for HIV. It's free. We have case management here for HIV. We can do all these things. We have sexual assault services here. We have domestic violence services here. We have a new LGBTQ service here. So I offer them all of these services so that they know where to go. Because a lot of people don't. If you go up to half the people in the street, go up to somebody and tell them, so let me ask you a question. Do you know where the nearest rape center is? They're gonna look at you like, what? No, not me. Why would I need it? We all need it. We all need to know. So this is just the same thing, the lack of care and protection, all the diseases that can be out there. So the one thing that I do want to emphasize on when it comes to women that are being trafficked or exploited is that they lose the sensation to have orgasms. So a lot of these women, they're kind of numb, they disassociate. So on top of that feeling, they have all this going on. So we need to remember to always help them to have self-care. Take care of your body. It's really important. Explain to them why it's important. Protection. A lot of women that are in these situations have unwanted pregnancies. Pimps and traffickers don't go to abortion clinics. They go to backyard clinics. And guess what happens to these women? They get infections, they don't make it. So that's, again, once again, we always give information on them local clinics. Once again, the death rate, like you said, even every 26 seconds. We've been here for an hour and a half. Imagine how many children have been trafficked. So now, here is the death toll of human trafficking. Why does this happen? People try to run. It's not only coming from the traffickers. Sometimes it comes from the drivers. Sometimes it comes from the people that they're having sex with, they're too rough. Maybe this individual is bleeding, they hemorrhage. Can you imagine having sex maybe 50 times a day for a low pay, trying to make a quota? Can you imagine what that does to your insides? Not only does it mess up a woman's menstrual cycle, but it also pulls your bladder down, your uterus. You get infections, you get bacteria. Very painful, very painful. And they have, once again, no health care. So these are some numbers here that you guys can call. These are some resources. I don't know if you guys can see them. If not, if you guys want to write them down, that's fine. The Dream Center, GEMS. This is very, very good. They have videos.
What?
I suggest these videos. Go on GEMS,
Okay.
gems.org. They have videos. Journey Out is in San Fernando Valley. The Probation Department for Human Trafficking, the East LA Women's Center with yours truly, and soon to be Maricruz. Coalition to Abolish Slavery, so that's CAST. You guys heard of CAST before? Okay. Sowers Education Group. So they have a lot of information if you guys want to go on their page. It's called Ending the Game. So there's information there. Two Wings, and yeah, that's it. Do you guys have any questions?
Do you have a connection with the city of Los Angeles and the human trafficking any information on that down, like?
Yes,
Throughout
we
the
actually have a connection to the Regional Human Trafficking Task Force. We're part of that. I'm also part of the Compton Human Trafficking Task Force. Plus, I'm part of the Domestic Violence Gang Intervention Task Force. So we're really involved in stuff like that. You guys gotta remember, human trafficking, when you have a human trafficking victim, there's a series.
Right.
It doesn't take one agency, it takes a bunch of agencies. Because you have drug addiction, mental health,
Right.
sexual assault, domestic violence, the list goes on and on. On top of those services, guess what we have to do? Dental, vision, dermatologist. If they have scarring, we have to have somewhere where they can go for scarring. Tattoo removal, we have to have a collaboration with probation, with law enforcement. So there's a whole series of services that we need to provide for a person that comes to us with human trafficking.
All right. I'll make sure I say that for you now.
Yes. Any other questions? Now's your chance. No question is,
What is it like?
okay, let me sit down for a second because my back is killing me.
What about people like being trafficked into the United States through other countries? That's pretty big?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
See, the misconception about human trafficking is that it happens in other countries. People
no.
tend to think if you talk to people, they're going to tell you, oh, it doesn't happen here. It happens in other countries.
Right, no, it happens.
No. But it is very high because, once again, that's where the forced fraud coordinating comes in, because you have people that are saying, okay, we're gonna go to another country, we're gonna get people, we're gonna bring them back, we're gonna intimidate them, because we're American citizens. We're from the United States. We have all this freedom, all this knowledge to manipulate another person. We are very spoiled. FYI, in case you guys don't understand,
Oh, yes.
we are very spoiled.
Mhm.
We have a lot of knowledge because of our technology. However, other countries don't have that. So they feel that they are being led in the proper way, when really they're not. They're not. And there's this whole thing that goes around reverse psychology. Traffickers are big on reverse psychology. They like to manipulate situations and just kind of half truth, but we're gonna get you.
Right.
Half truth, but you're gonna do what we want. You know, so there is that. But it does happen in a lot of other countries. It does happen. What else?
I saw on the internet, it's like they were warning about these, flyers that people usually put on like
Yes,
posts about like
Yes.
free jobs or like cheap jobs. blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And it's actually like trafficking.
yes. So those are the ones that we see. Okay, so you gotta be careful with those because where those stem from, once again, traffickers and pimps are very, very intelligent. How many of you guys have seen those flyers that are on after school, they're for after school programs? They go around selling candies, or you see those little boys that have the Tupperware that have like those big boxes of Raisinets and candles and stuff like that. So there is such a thing, there's such a program, but traffickers, once again, they're trying to get the parents to call in and say, okay, you could take my child after school. They pick them up in vans. However, they're not being sent back. They're being kidnapped and forced in other states, other cities. They may be close, but a child that's 10, 11 years old, you send them to 5 cities out, they think they're in Kingdom Come.
Right.
They don't know where they're at. And they're afraid because they got kidnapped. And then the traffickers are using the fact, well, your mom let you come. I have a signature right here. Anything else? Yes.
So, have you ever seen kind of like an influx of like individuals coming from previously being incarcerated?
Yes.
Because one of my friends, she was in for a while, and I've noticed that a lot of her other friends who have been incarcerated are really adept into that world, they're like deep in it. And like I'm learning all sorts of new lingo, and you know, like if you see somebody asking for a donation, that's a new way to ask for like payment without getting caught. There's a lot of hubs. I've noticed that a lot of, and that's kind of, I was just wondering if here, like we have that too.
Yes. Yes, we do. So you figure, a female a female that's been trafficked or prostituted and maybe got out, they get arrested and they come out. Now they're on parole. Now they have to do services because most likely they're gonna have to do the prostitute diversion program. So not only are they on parole and nobody's gonna wanna give them a job, they have to do services. With those two things right there against them, and then they have a family, with all that against them, they're forced. They feel that they have no other means but to go out and start having to have sex with other men for money. It becomes what they call survival sex. It becomes a different form. There's a lot of women also that are having sex, children also, young, our minors, are having survival sex because they become addicted. We have addiction that's out there and people will sleep with their drug dealers. We have mothers that are selling their children to the drug dealers just to get a fix. And we can sit here and say, who would do that? There's people out there. There are people that are out there. And we have to understand they have an addiction. They're not thinking right. They're just thinking of their next fix. They're willing to give up their children. How many of you guys heard about that? The church at White Memorial, did you guys hear last week? There was a 13-year-old little boy that got assaulted in the church.
Oh, I heard about that.
Got assaulted in the church?
Yeah.
Raped him.
He got raped in the church.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they knocked him out or something.
But it wasn't that the church wasn't being aware. They were there. They knocked him out, drugged him, and they raped him. It was the church that found him. But my theory is, how did they not see? There's cameras everywhere. It's on the hospital campus. You know what I mean? Like, somebody sees something. Somebody needs to say something. If you see something, you need to let people know. You need to report it. Don't keep quiet about it, because that's not going to end it. Because it's just bringing them closer and closer to our communities, to our neighborhoods, to our families. So here, what we do here in the center, so that you guys know what part I play in the center, I hold monthly solidarity gatherings. So it's a group for women that have been trafficked, they've had sex work, they're changing their life, they've had survival sex. It's just a group. We just open up the room, there's no plan, there's no sign-ins, nothing. It's just for the women to feel safe. It's just somewhere that they can come and they could say, you know what, last night I just started having these dreams again. And I don't know what to do. I can't sleep at night. And I've been sober for 6 months. Do I have to start getting high just so I can sleep again? We start talking about techniques. Or a woman comes in and says, you know what? I can't stand when a man looks at me anymore, because they make me feel like if I have to offer them sex for money. Okay, so let's start working on our self-esteem. Let's start remembering that, you know, men are gonna look at us. Doesn't mean they know what we did. It's just habit. So that's where the solidarity gathering came out of. We hold a provider mixer once a month for all providers. They come in this room and we share information. So something's going on in the community, we're able to discuss it amongst providers and come up with some kind of a solution. If somebody needs a service that maybe we don't provide, but somebody else does, they'll put it on the table and say, you know what, look, this is what I can offer this client. So we have that. We have case management, we offer HIV testing, as you guys know. If a client were to come in and get tested and be HIV positive, we hold a group for them. We have a group to help them to be able to deal with that transition. We also have, what else do we have, Maricruz, for HIV? I mean, for human trafficking. Las Muchachas Project goes out into the community. We go out into the community. I actually go, Maricruz is going to be going with me, to drug rehabilitation centers. I go into domestic violence shelters, safe houses. I go into other agencies and speak. We do a series of 4 workshops. So the 4 workshops, it all gets tied back into human trafficking and exploitation. So I've done schools. They're asking us to do schools now to bring awareness to the parents, so that parents know what to look for. We do sexual assault and domestic violence. We do HIV, STIs. We do human trafficking, exploitation, and survival sex. And then we do healing and trauma. So everything, so we teach them sexual assault and domestic violence, what it is, and then how HIV plays a part in that, and how all of that, by having all of that, you fall prey to human trafficking and exploitation. And then once we get that, then we come into healing and trauma. So we go out into the community and we do a lot of that. We do health fairs, we go everywhere. I have so much fun with it. It's so much fun going out and teaching people, because the smile that you get when you hear somebody disclose that they've been trafficked in the past, or they say, you know what, I was working sex work, I was forced to do it at this age because my mom or my dad, and I never dealt with it. To be able to see these girls graduating from here, when I refer them here, it's such an honor. Not because, hey, Lisa got them in, no. Because you see these women come in one way, and you see them leave another way. You see them smiling, you see them high-fiving you, you see them hugging you. Some of these women don't want to be touched. They don't want to be hugged. They don't want to be looked at. You know, they're walking with their head down. When you see them walking with their head up and just like smiling and just like, hey, Lisa, it's a really good feeling. It's a really good feeling. So, is there anything else you guys? Nothing? Really? You're a quiet group. Very quiet. Something's up, Claudia.
They're so pensive, you know, like they have so much that they're processing, just can't get it out in time.
No, they got questions out. No? If I could wrap it up. Time for me to go and drink another cup of coffee.
Get that water going. All right, Lisa, thank you so much.